We can now bring in France 24's international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. Doug, going back to our top story, and that's, of course, the United States saying that they targeted Houthi weapons storage facilities in Yemen using B-2 stealth bombers. The U.S. rarely deploys these bombers in combat. What prompted the Pentagon to do so and do it now?
Yeah, and if you're a little confused and if you have the sense that perhaps the U.S. Seems to be sending mixed messages in its support/warnings to Israel on different fronts, you're perhaps in quite a large group here. First of all, yes, they rarely deploy. The Pentagon rarely sends out to combat missions these B-2 bombers. I think the last time they were used was 7 years ago, 2017. There aren't that many of them. They're very sophisticated, very costly. I think there's about 20 of them in the Pentagon fleet right now. So you might ask, okay, why did they choose to use them against what most regional watchers call a ragtag rebel group, albeit one that's a proxy, a regional proxy for Iran, the Houthi rebels in Yemen? Well, over the past months, we have seen the Houthis time and again, targeting shipping, cargo ships, passing through the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, basically trying, in support, obviously, of Hamas in Gaza, and more broadly in support of Iran's other proxies throughout the region. What is interesting here is not just the fact that stealth B-2s were used, but what they targeted, and they targeted hardened bunkers, hardened being a key term here, meaning bunkers in which weapons were presumably purportedly stored by these rebels deep underground in bunkers, which presumably they're there so that they would not be easy targets for conventional types of bombs. What these B-2 bombers release is very, very heavy, very, very large bombs, I think more than 5,000 pounds, really, which are very heavily encased in metal and hold an explosive charge within. They penetrate, they burrow deep underground, in this case the 5 targeted bunkers, in order to reach those reported arms supplies. So could it be a warning to Tehran? Look what we can do here. Here's our technology. We can do it to the Houthis. We could potentially do it to you in the case of trying to target nuclear facilities, something Israel has pledged to the U.S. it won't do for now, reportedly, but that could, down the road, be a prospect. So it could be a shot across the bow to Iran. Here's our technology. We can use it on the Houthis. We can use it on you too.
Yeah, there's just 3 weeks ago until the U.S. election. A lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some comments which came in earlier from the EU's top diplomat who is questioning a move from Washington to give Israel 1 month to resolve the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Joseph Borrell said this is simply too much time because a lot of people risk dying. The U.S. is demanding proof from Israel that it is not seeking to deliberately starve people in the north.
Yeah.
But why is it giving a month to get that information?
Well, forget the timeline. The main headline here is that the U.S. is seeking proof from Israel that it is not waging a deliberate starvation policy to drive out against civilians in Gaza, specifically in the northern part of Gaza, which we've discussed in recent days, could be, and in the Israeli press, the target of what's called the general's plan to create a special military zone there that would drive out civilians, force them to evacuate south, leaving presumably the remnants of Hamas, which would be flushed out. The problem is many civilians don't have the means to move. They're too scared to move. They don't have the wherewithal to move. They're staying put. They're staying in place. Some are just sick or perhaps too old. There could be upwards of 400,000 civilians there. Hence the concerns about effectively what could amount to a starvation policy. The UN, the U.S. are faulting Israel for not letting enough aid in. They say at least 350 aid trucks are needed to get in at the 4 border crossings in this sector right now. The Israeli agency that oversees these deliveries said that yesterday on Wednesday, 58 trucks got in. That falls far short of the food, water, and other basic life-preserving necessities that they need right now. So this is not a watch this space. This is happening here and now. The U.S. is concerned. The UN is concerned. And this is something where, there is the threat that the U.S. could cut off, at least partially, military aid to Israel if it doesn't ramp up those supplies, and very soon.
Done. Thank you very much for that, Douglas Herbert there.